everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. After days of protests and showdowns over suspensions and the Rashtrapati storm, finally the parliament witnessed a discussion. It was over price rise. The opposition took on the centre, accusing it of tanking the economy and increasing the burden on the poorest of the poor. The centre has been accused of not being able to double farmers' income, refusing to take action on rising fuel prices, and placing the burden of high taxes on the bottom rung of the society. The opposition has accused the government to pushing the nation towards a stagflation, or a combination of rising prices, high unemployment and stagnant growth. After recovering from COVID, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today gave a point-by-point rebuttal to the opposition's charge. Nirmala Sitharaman has said that there has been no data-driven points raised by the opposition, adding that there will be no recession in India. She said inflation has been held at 7% and below, while inflation under the UPA reached double digits around 9 times. The finance minister also said that India's economy is faring better than other nations, highlighting how the US is nearing a recession and multiple Chinese banks are defaulting. She said India remains the fastest growing economy even today, and has accused the opposition of being selective in quoting economists, adding that there will be no compromise on schemes for farmers. As the Congress walked out of Parliament, this seems to be just the beginning of the war of words between the centre and the opposition over price rise. And the storm is only set to get bigger. But what is the economic reality behind this fight? Whose politics is driven by facts and whose by rhetoric? Before we get the guests, here's how the drama unfolded today.
आज 15 तो 2022 आ गई, उनके अंदर तिरंगा लटकाओ, लेकिन मैं जरूर कहती हूं कि 15 अगस्त से और जरूर हो किसानों को बुलाओ जिन्हां दी आव दुगनी हो गई है।
गरीब से गरीब देश के प्रधानमंत्री को खुलकर जवाब दे रहे हैं और पैगाम पहुंचा रहे हैं कि इन्फ्लेशन करप्शन के बराबर है। जो कहता था तारे तोड़कर लाऊंगा, उसने आसमान ही गिरा दिया मुझ पर।
Many economists have already expressed their apprehension that country has been heading towards a stagflation.
महंगाई इस जगह में आके पहुंचा है कि आम जनता का जीना हराम हो गया। सरकार से ये दरख्वास्त करूंगी कि आप एक जगह में आइए कि इतना टैक्स मत लगाइए कि आप ही को सिर्फ मुनाफा हो और गरीब मरते रहे।
I find it was more a discussion on the political angles of price rise rather than actually data-driven concerns about price. इसीलिए मेरा जवाब भी थोड़ा politically में देने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. No question of India getting into recession or stagflation. We have held the inflation well within 7 or even below. 9% से ज़्यादा 28 मंथ्स को आप एक इकट्ठा करके देखेंगे, उसमें 22 मंथ्स में 9% से ज्यादा था यूपीए के कार्यकाल में. Even as the entire globe's growth is being reviewed, reassessed, re-estimated, each time we remain at the highest.
Let me bring in my guests. Professor Rakesh Sinha is Member of Parliament of the BJP. Syed Nasir Hussain, representing the Congress. We have Dr. Ajay Dua, former Industry Secretary, and Dr. Shashi Panja, Cabinet Minister of Government of West Bengal. Before I bring in the politicians, I want to understand from you, Dr. Dua, when you look at Finance Minister's clarifications and also counters that came together today, would you say that you have reasons to feel that the economy is in safe hands?
Sure. Let me start by saying I did find the finance minister's reply, as she herself had said that she's going to be political. It was full of rhetoric. It answered all the 8 or 9 major criticisms which the opposition had raised, but at the same time, it wasn't devoid of reality. Having said, what I did about it being a political and good political speech and used a lot of rhetoric, I say this from the 2 or 3 points of view. While defending the government's position, she did point out that most of the inflation was imported. It was because of global factors, because of the commodity prices having gone up around the world. And then she went on to compare the Indian economic situation with the neighborhood, with what the US is finding, and what's happening in China.
Yes.
So all this was so far in defense of what the finance minister had said. But she did quite reveal that when the CPI crossed 6% and it stayed there for 4 or 5 months, the WPI, which measures more the producers kind of inflation,
yes,
or producer-driven inflation, because the weightage of production items is higher there, it was 14 to 15%. So second, we do have figures that the unemployment-wise, the unemployment has risen in recent months. We don't have cases of extreme poverty, as the finance minister quoted the UNDP report that we are not going to be suffering in that extreme sense, but certainly our dollar having fallen, our rupee having fallen vis-a-vis the dollar, it made imports costly for us. They brought about inflation. So whether the management of the rupee...
Dr. Dua, here you are saying that yes, it was high on politics as well, but not devoid of reality. So let me bring in the politicians now, and I'm going to begin with you, Nasir Hussain. The charge that came from Finance Minister there was that all your arguments or the opposition's arguments related to price rise, GST, has not been driven by data, but it is more to do with politics. So my question is, did you get answers to all the concerns that you have raised on price front?
Maria, I think the country has debated enough in the past 2 weeks on the length and breadth of our country. Let me ask the government straight away, because after this minister speaks, there will be no speeches from the opposition. So you cannot counter the minister's speech there. In the parliament, when the minister speaks, you should always give a couple of members from the opposition to ask clarification, which was the norm, which was not allowed today. Let me just ask you straight away, is there no inflation in the country? Is GST not levied on food products? Is petrol, diesel, gas rates have not gone up? Is there no unemployment in the country? Has not the people, those who were put above poverty line during the UPA time, 20 plus crore people, have not gone below poverty line? Has the growth rate not decreased? Has the growth rate not decreased? Was the growth rate not around 3.5 to 4% before COVID? So these are, see, if you say recession nahi hoga, there will be no recession. Are you speak about the present thing. Don't you think the people, the garib, the aam janta, the awam of this country, when they step out of their houses to buy groceries, to buy vegetables, to buy meat products, to buy milk products, don't you think they are feeling the pinch?
Okay.
They are not. Don't you think they are feeling the pinch?
You know,
why are the
Rakesh
people
Sinha,
agitating all over the country?
The concern here is, where is the relief? And is the relief in sight? Food items are spectacularly high. Diesel and petrol costs are burning pockets of middle class. Where is the relief? The question is, did Finance Minister's speech answer that question?
I heard two voices, one Mr. Dua and Nasir. Both are on the same plane and same voice they are speaking as the government. Now let me respond to them. You know, when you are so pessimistic that you imagine that India would fall in a very bad shape without any concrete evidence, without any concrete empirical facts. I am giving two important things. The inflation is 7%. Go to any part of the globe and find out the inflation. Compare India's inflation. During the UPA regime, 2004 to 14, the inflation was in double digit. We have kept inflation in the single digit, that is 7%, despite COVID. Don't undermine the 2 years the entire world suffered. And that suffering is impacting on the US economy. That suffering is impacting the China, that 4,000 banks are collapsing. 4,000 banks are collapsing. In India, you cannot claim a single bank in a distress. It is only due to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision and action, who has led the consolidation of the bank. And that consolidation had the Indian banks in the same position as pre-2014. We would have seen many banks collapsing. And that would have been paved the way for the collapse of the Indian economy. Second important thing, that the GST collection is a one parameter how economy is growing. 1.40 lakh crore GST collection, 5th consecutive months. Is it a small amount? Is it not the sign of how the trend of the economy? And you say economy is in recession? Bloomberg survey says that Indian economy, there is 0% for the India's recession chance. How you say India would go in the recession? But most important thing, which the economists and the opposition party should underline that. You cannot see the economy in a just like separate ways, that they are divided from one block to other block. Okay. It is a holistic manner. 80 lakh people are getting food, and that 3.4 lakh crore rupees have been spent. This year only till September, the total expenditure is 80,000 crore. Don't you link that to Narendra Modi's welfareist measure? That is substantive, there is no symbolic. Indian state has departed from this symbolic welfarism to substantive welfarism. You just remember the pre-2014, right from Prime Minister Nehru till Manmohan Singh. Everywhere symbolism. Farmer symbolism, the direct digital transfer to the farmers. Is it not the service of the common man?
Nasir Hussain, a quick rebuttal from you, and then I bring in Dr. Shashi Panja.
No. Yeah, two people have spoken. Okay. Let me give me 30-40 seconds.
Yes, I agree with Rakesh Sinha on that. Yes, okay. Another 30 seconds for Rakesh Sinha.
Nasir, you speak later on. What I say that the economy is interlinked. You cannot divide the economy, this part, that part, this. The expenditure on the toilets, construction of the toilets, 10.9 crore toilets have been constructed in this country. Lakhs of homes have been delivered to the poor people. Earlier, the priority of the Indian state was corporate houses. The priority of the Indian state and Indian economists have been the upper middle class. Now, the priority of the Indian state and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the marginalized people who are 80 crore people.
Okay, Nasir Hussain.
80 crore people.
Nasir Hussain, the Indian economy, looks better than almost any other, I would say, because it's always a comparative study. Start with prices. Consumer price inflation in the US is at 8.5%, which is at a 40-year high. In the euro area, it is 7.5%. These are economies used to inflation averaging less than 2%. And in the face of the visible whirlwinds, particularly to do with the rupee fall, still if the finance minister is quoting economists and she is quoting Bloomberg, she is not saying on her own when she says that there is a Bloomberg survey which has said that there is a zero probability of India slipping into recession, even though there are several major economies who are in substantial risky position of getting into recession. Shouldn't we be celebrating that we have good news here?
Maria, you need not keep defending the government.
No, I'm not defending. I'm just talking about the points that have been made. This is what Mr. Linen has said in his piece.
Time also.
Yes.
Please allow me to speak. Please allow me to speak. Please. See, this is a government which keeps blaming others. If there are no roads, it was the Congress government which didn't do. If there are no toilets, it's the Congress government which didn't do. If there are no power in the country, Congress government didn't do. if the PSUs are failing, Congress government had not done this and not done. So everything that is not done in this country was because of the Congress governments in the past, and the ghost of Nehru is all around in the country and in their speeches. Now, when they have failed on every front, when there is inflation, high prices, high unemployment, and people are being pushed in the poverty, then they start saying, see what is happening globally. What was happening globally? Was there not a recession in the at the international level when UPA was there? Didn't we control inflation at that time? Didn't we see that there was no recession in our country? See, it is the duty of the government to control inflation. It is the duty of the government to see and to maintain maintain the prices in the country. What we are, and nobody is speaking about the fact. Don't you think the prices are rising? Don't you think गरीब के ऊपर मार है? Don't you think that the BJP has said बहुत हुई महंगाई का मार आपकी बार मोदी सरकार? तो अब जो महंगाई है, ये महंगाई के ऊपर क्यों बात नहीं कर रहे? आप जो आंकड़े दे रहे हैं, there are also international reports. There is international report on poverty, there is international report on unemployment, there is international report on happiness, there is international report on so many other things. The international indexes on so many other things.
Okay.
The government dismisses them.
Okay.
The government dismisses them.
Dr.
Don't you
Shashi
think that
Panja,
the rupee has fallen?
the opposition
Don't you
wanted
think
a
they are
debate.
using this? Don't you think they are?
The opposition wanted a debate
just
on
one second.
price
Don't you think-
rise and GST. It has happened today. Are you of the opinion, again, the question that I asked Nasir Hussain, that did Finance Minister manage to convince opposition?
Maria ji, the only thing that we can be happy about in this country is that finally there was a discussion
The question
today
is for me?
in Parliament. No, I'm answering. I'm from the Trinamool Congress. Who's
Yes,
answering.
yes. That's for Shashi Panja, Nasir Hussain. Yes, go ahead.
So, so many problems, and this constant denial of the harsh reality on the ground, and those who have told us about the act of God or the Amritkal budget. Are we supposed to be satisfied with all that? Because what is the situation on ground? So if I go over to the person on ground who's hungry and explain to him our economy is doing much better than US, etc., you think that will actually quell its thirst or do away with the hunger? So what we are saying, there are two things. It's very contradictory what the honorable BJP spokesman is saying. On one ground, they are talking about social welfare schemes. On the other side, we see the honorable Prime Minister saying about revenue and freebies, that these should be done away with, that India cannot become self-reliant, etc. So please decide which way you want to go. If you want social welfare schemes, you are using it whenever you want to use it for your political benefit and mileage. And at the same time, you're criticizing the common man and saying that these are all revenue. So there is one total contradiction on this. And if everything was so satisfactory, then why didn't we have this discussion all these days? Starting from the previous budget session, 28 days, 14 days in this monsoon session, it took us 42 days in Parliament when constantly opposition was raising this issue that we must discuss price rise, because that is not a political problem. It is a problem of the common man. It is our problem. So we have to rise above politics for this.
Okay.
And much to their defense, that there has been a recession all over the world, still this government, the central government, earned 14 lakh crores only from petrol and diesel. But the petrol and diesel taxes just went on going up, central taxes. They really became richer. I mean, can you deny that? We know that, yes, you have earned 14 lakh crores
Rakesh
during
Sinha,
COVID times,
an
but you blame it on COVID.
Old
Or you
high
blame it on the
inflation,
Ukraine war.
soaring energy and commodity prices due to Russia-Ukraine war is what you have been saying. But there are concerns of economy getting squeezed as well. And point being made by opposition is also coming from the fact that the Aam Aadmi is asking कि नींबू इतना महंगा है, cylinder का दाम बढ़ गया. So they have to answer. The question then is, because you're running the government, what should the Aam Aadmi be told? That US के comparison में India का situation better है?
No, No, she had raised a very fundamental question that you have to done away from the welfareist measure, as Prime Minister says. You have to make a difference between the concrete welfareism for the targeted area of the people. Socio-economically marginalized people, those who have been marginalized in course of the time to inequity in the state policy and programs, and the philosophy based on inequity, not equity. Inequality has been the philosophy of the state. Just giving bonaja to them, free bonaja. They were not strengthening the people. Here, by welfare measures, the Prime Minister Modi has a message to strengthen the people to become the part of the market forces. I am giving one example. When we are addressing the street vendors, who have been contributing in the GDP, but they had never been the legitimate economic entities in India. They were economic entities, but not legitimate economic entities. They were the people doing business without social dignity. If the Prime Minister is providing through his vision and the government is helping these people, after all, from where money is coming? Whether it is a housing, it is a toilets, it is a national highway, unexpected you go to any part of the India, any part, northeast go, the tremendous development in northeast. I don't know where opposition is doing, what doing. They are making a wrong criticism. And there are certain elites who have been left away by this Indian state because the philosophy of Indian state don't match. So they see everything as a pessimism. They see this is right, but that is wrong.
Okay,
this balancing act is not right.
But Professor Rakesh Sinha, recent surveys that have been conducted by the Centre for Monitoring Indian Economy reveal a most alarming and shocking reality that 17% of households have an average monthly income of just 8,600 in 2020-2021. The average earning of around 62% of the household was just 14,400 a month ago. So the question is what you are talking about, the welfare state, that's fine. That's fine. The point being made by Shashi Panja is what centre seems to be doing is welfareism. What the states do is not welfareism.
No, there is a difference between the two. There is a difference. When you say the free electricity, how does it matter? You are not deciding the targeted area. There is a targeted area who really requires that. When we are giving the food to the when we are giving food to the people, this is a targeted area. They require that. The moral obligation of the Indian state. And your political obligation on the other hand. There is a difference between moral obligation and political obligation.
Okay.
Here,
Shashi Panja, respond to that.
Just a small example.
We believe in political obligation. Okay. We believe in moral obligation to the people.
Before the UP elections, it was a political obligation for you because you reduced the petrol and diesel and gas prices. But the moment the elections were over, they were again hiked. अगर इतनी ही परिस्थिति खराब थी,
I think this. I don't expect someone academic is some flimsy criticism.
No, it's not flimsy.
Don't suit to your stature.
What are you saying?
Such flimsy criticism.
You didn't target a particular community.
It's better that you are speaking better than a Congress spokesperson.
You cannot deny that.
Don't equate yourself with a leftist.
Then why didn't you keep the prices low?
Don't become a typical leftist activist.
After the elections,
you don't have knowledge of the fundamentals of the Indian economy.
I just want to mention a report of the
ABC knowledge of the fundamentals of the Indian economy.
IMF has just released a
World
Economic Outlook, which shows that over 3 years, 2020 to 2022, India's annual growth is 2.9%. This is from Professor Kaushik Basu. And it's so unfortunate that today the Honorable Finance Minister is saying that the opposition selectively quotes certain economists. I mean, quoting any reputed economists of repute.
30 seconds to you, Nasir Hussain. Please come in. Yes.
Maria, do you call me just to three people are
no, Mr. Rakesh Sinha, I'm coming to you, sir. You have got your time. You have got your time. I'm going to come back to you.
For your channel.
I'll give you the final words.
This is unfair. That three.
I'll give you the final words, sir. I'll give you the final words. Yes.
No. I don't want any final. No. I'm leaving the channel. I'm leaving the debate.
No, sir. Please stay.
You are calling two people in the name of they are thoroughly.
We have parliamentary affairs minister Minister who is also joining me.
Thoroughly anti-BJP activists. No, I'm leaving the debate.
How?
If you want the debate,
Rakesh Sinha ji.
No,
I'm giving you the final words. I'm giving you the final words. Just be a little patient. 30 seconds.
No, I don't want
30 seconds, please.
I don't want any final word. I have to answer. I have to answer these three people. I have to answer.
Okay, you will answer, sir. I'll give you all the time. Just let Nasir Hussain come in for 20 seconds and you'll get 2 minutes to respond to all of them. One moment. Yes. Nasir Hussain, 20 seconds, quickly.
For your kind information, I am leaving the debate. This is
No, please. You will get all the time. Just be patient. Mr. Rakesh Sinha. Rakesh Sinha, 30 seconds.
I won't agree.
Okay.
People don't know the ABC of fundamentals. They are the compartmental intellectuals. They see the economy in the compartmental way. This is the state of country. That's why.
Are they trying to say that
What
India
is
in
the
a
problem?
very good
What is
shape?
tell me,
India is in a very good shape.
have you visited the villages? How long? When did you last visit the village? Tell me. When did the last time both of you visit the village? Tell me. हवा में नहीं हो रहा हूँ. आपको इंडिया भारत का बुनियाद नहीं मालूम है. How the villagers are happy about the Prime Minister Modi. How the farmers are happy about the Prime Minister Modi. How the people who have been marginalized geographically, economically and politically, they are the part of the mainstream. Fiscal inclusiveness is the first time India has achieved.
Okay, Shashi Panja ji.
These are the people.
Okay.
No data available.
One moment, Shashi Panja ji, one moment. Rakesh Sinha, quickly, 30 seconds. Please go ahead, sir. You don't have to get so agitated. That's quite unlike you.
I'm telling you,
yes.
what I'm telling you, there are certain people who don't know the changed environment and climate of the economy. Where the Make in India has come first time, where Mudra Yojana has come first time, where Ayushman Bharat has come first time, where insurance has increased to the 49 crore people, individuals, new insurance schemes. They are not the part of the growth of the economy. Growth means upper class, growth means corporate houses, growth means metropolitan people, growth means the people living in a Baraipura village, growth means people living in Kongthong in Manipur, growth means the border area of the northeastern state. These are the growth, the sign of growth is there. You go how Northeast is connected. From where money is coming? Are we bringing money from IMF? Are we borrowing money from IMF for all these developments? The maximum, the FDI is coming to India. You compare India with any other country. These are the mark. Are they coming in India because India would go in recession? Are these investors are coming in India to sink their money? These are the so-called economists who don't know the change. And some elites who have been left out by the Indian state because Indian state has different parameters for development, different parameter for narratives.
Okay.
So they are the pessimistic individual. They are the part of the opposition bandwagon. And I really say that. I genuinely say that India has rejected so-called leftist liberals in their narrative in the field of economy.
Okay.
And my last question to these people, except Nasir, these two people, when did the last time they visit to a rural area? And just tell me the area where did you visit? Where did you interact with the people? Farmers, workers, and marginalized people.
All right.
cannot leave it. I have a similar question for him too.
Okay.
That why aren't you not in Parliament?
Ask
Why
me,
did you
I will
not allow
answer.
the
All right,
Parliament?
Dr.
answer
Shashi
my
Panjan,
question.
Nasir Hussain,
Yes,
Ajay
you
Dua,
answer
and
my
Professor
question.
Rakesh Sinha. Thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us. Of course, this is a discussion which will be continuing in Parliament as well. Joining me now is Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi. Mr. Joshi, really appreciate your time. You have revoked the suspension of 4 Congress MPs and the discussion on price rise has happened as well. Do you think that this could have happened perhaps a few days earlier? It would have certainly saved Parliament's valuable time.
हमने पहले से यही बता रहे थे कि हम as soon as श्रीमती निर्मला रामन जी फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर कम्स बैक हम चर्चा के लिए तैयार है. मैंने बार बार ये बोला था एक सप्ताह में कुछ नहीं होता था. आकाश तो ये जो स्काई वुड नॉट हैव फॉलन, तो मैंने बार बार कह रहा था कि एक सप्ताह हमको समय दे दो. यू गिव अस 1 वीक टाइम. शी विल बी बैक. नाउ शी इज डाउन विद कोविड. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये इशू बना के और आप ये भी जानना, आपको ये भी समझना होगा कि मंगलवार के दिन श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमण जी इधर पहुंच गए। तब भी मैंने कहा, मुझे सोमवार को ही उन्होंने बोला था कि मैं कल टेस्ट कराऊँ और 99% नेगेटिव आएगा, ऐसे लास्ट सोमवार उन्होंने मुझे बताया था। मैं मंगलवार को उन्होंने कंफर्म किया मेरा नेगेटिव आ गया है, और मैंने इन लोगों को बोला, मंगलवार दोपहर में बोला, अगर आज चाहता है तो आज ही हम करने के लिए तैयार है। बुधवार को बोला, गुरुवार को बोला। इसके बारे में क्या बोलते हैं? व्हेन शी केम बैक, मैंने बोला, आई एम राइट नाउ, आई एम रेडी। You might have seen my statement, you might have heard my statement in Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha both. I have told categorically, she has come back. Even if you want now, we are ready for the discussion. Kindly House to allow its smooth functioning. But they did not allow. What can we do?
Mr. Joshi, one view certainly is that this government has gone on some kind of suspension spree. Over 30 MPs suspended in both the houses of parliament, and it was largely seen as completely disproportionate to the ruckus or their actions. Do you feel that the action only communicated that this government was perhaps being high-handed?
No. What do you mean by disproportionate? I am not able to understand. If they come to well, even that is also not, it is not permissible under the rule, but still okay. They bring the placard. We were there, as far as I remember, and I know very well, I am very firm on that. When we were in the opposition for 10 years, yes, of course we came to well, but we would not have, we never crossed half mark of the well, means towards the treasury bench of the well, we never used to go. I have given example even in Lok Sabha and other media channels also. When once I went towards the treasury bench of the well, then Pranab Mukherjee ji, then he was the leader of the House, he objected for that. At that time, I was trying to argue because I was a new member. Then Advani ji called me and said, no, you should not argue, you should not go that side. And you leave apart taking the placards in the house, even going towards that side also was not allowed from our own party leaders. This is how we have protested. We have no objection in protesting. They will bring placard, they will show it in the on the just in front of the face of the speaker, and when PM sits, and even when RM means Raksha Mantri, when Home Minister, any minister who tries to give answer, they will try to bring it in front of me. Is it correct way? What do you mean by disproportion? I am not able to understand your concept.
Yes. Prahlad ji, TMC MPs who were suspended, also the Congress MPs, all of them are reminding you, that is the government, of what the BJP did when you were in opposition, since you just spoke about it. They are saying that disruption was seen as a normal, natural process, more legitimate, which the then leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Arun Jaitley and Ms. Sushma Swaraj had famously said that disruption is a very legitimate form of the opposition to bring concerns of the people on the floor of the House. So what was legitimate during your opposition days became illegitimate right now?
No, that's what I have said. When they have come to well, we have not suspended. When they brought the placard and tried to put in front of the chair and also tearing the papers, throwing it on the chair and throwing the books, is it the way? Is there a difference there or not? And even now, and another thing, and issue also you should consider. We said we are ready for the price rise discussion. Then also you do this thing. I asked them, what is your prime demand? They said, we want price rise discussion. I said, initially, they were thinking that we will not allow that price rise discussion. When I said, okay, then they said today itself, I said, give us 1 week. It is a courtesy. She is not well. Give us 1 week. They are not ready to give 1 week. And she came back. I said on Tuesday, today you want discussion, I am ready. Then they disrupt from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday. In Lok Sabha, there will be 2 hours will be available for the government business. Why did they not do it? See, comparison also should be fair, I am telling you.
Okay. The opposition says that it is the government which is in fact running away from discussion or questions which are related to GST and price rise.
No, it is their version you are telling. What I am telling is, Well, as far as issue of the price rise is concerned, I have already told you. And as far as communication with the leader of the opposition concerned, I have spoken to Mallikarjun Kharge ji over telephone. You can check my call record. I have spoken to Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. In the lobby, I have spoken to Balu. I have spoken, myself and Piyush ji have spoken to the Tiruchi Shiva. We have spoken to the Derek Oberant. And we have said we are ready for discussion. Kindly cooperate. And any time we are ready for discussion. That is the thing we have told. And as far as the issue of about Adhir Ranjan's statement, it was deliberately done. And what has happened previously, you kindly check the record. When previously some people had given the wrong statement from the Treasury bench, means when Prime Minister Modi was Prime Minister, at that time how they behaved, and we said, you apologize, you regret, and they are not ready to regret. That's why it is a insult to the Rashtrapati, not only to the Rashtrapati, even एक आदिवासी बेटी को उन्होंने जब deliberately दो बार उन्होंने तीन बार repeat किया है, तो इसीलिए that was the emotions were running high, and that's why some of our senior leaders they have initiated that and they have expressed their dissatisfaction on the floor of the house. I don't find anything wrong in that, and that was not the reason for disruption. They were trying continuously avoid the discussion on prices because they know that what is happening in the world and what the steps Modi government has taken, and also most of the opposition rule states they are not reducing their VAT on the petrol and diesel, that is taxes. That's why they are feeling that it is better to postpone. Even today they tried, only because not to give them a chance, we decided, of course with the permission of the Speaker, to withdraw the suspension. Otherwise, if we had not have intention to discussion, then we said we will not withdraw it. Then this stalemate would have been continued. Our intention was to discuss. That's why we continued.
Praladji,
we withdrew.
One point that is being made is that these MPs did not even express regret, and you have gone ahead with the withdrawal of the suspension. So what really is the message that is being conveyed?
No, that's why the speakers, when they were adamant, arrogant, Speaker find out that at least they will say we will abide by the rules and the procedure. Then Speaker has clarified that hereafter nobody will be allowed to bring placards and other things. And I also said we strictly abide by the rules and procedures, means in that rules and procedure bringing the placards is also not allowed. I have reminded with that precondition I have followed I have obeyed the orders of the Speaker.
Last question to you, sir. The productivity of this session of Parliament has been around 26% as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned. With just 10 days to go, you have important bills on your agenda. How are you going to make up of the lost time, and how positive are you that the Parliament will finally function?
I have requested them today there will be discussion on price rise. After that, we shall sit at they should cooperate. I request them to cooperate, to sit at least till up to 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and we should complete the business. This is what I have made the request. Let us see how they cooperate. We want to do the business. People have given us the mandate, people have given us the responsibility, and people mandate has to be, it should be well accepted by the opposition also, and we want to do the good business, and we want to improve the productivity. I request them, I appeal them to cooperate. Since more than 10 days, you have already, because of your behavior, we have lost that precious time. Now you cooperate. We are ready to sit up to 10 o'clock and we shall finish the business. This is what I am going to request them.
All right.
I have already requested them.
Prahlad Joshi, Parliamentary Affairs Minister, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Shifting focus to debate 2. After CNN News 18 brought to light how Friday holidays have been illegally implemented in multiple schools in Bihar and Jharkhand, more details have come to light how this has been a long-running practice and orders from the higher authorities of the state have been ignored.
देखिए सरकार की ओर से तो स्पष्ट निर्देश है कि कब साप्ताहिक छुट्टी होगी, किस पर्व त्योहार की छुट्टी होगी, ये तो शिक्षा विभाग इस सारे मामले को देखेगा।
तो रिपोर्ट आने के बाद हम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि कार्रवाई होगी। जो
निश्चित तौर पर अगर कोई सरकार के नियम के जो नियम निर्देशित है उसके खिलाफ अगर कोई काम होगा तो स्वाभाविक है कि सरकार आवश्यक कार्रवाई करे।
हमने इसीलिए कहा है कि आप इसकी विस्तृत मतलब पड़ताल कर लीजिए, जांच कर लीजिए और उसका विस्तृत प्रतिवेदन दीजिए, तब हम लोग उस पर जो नियम संगत निर्णय होगा वो लेंगे।
And CNN News 18 has now accessed a 2012 directive which was issued by former Bihar Governor Mr. Konwar. This directive to Muslim employees of the state mentions a special break of 2 hours for Jummah prayers. However, despite this directive, the practice of Friday holidays were implemented in Muslim majority areas. These Friday holidays have been forced on all students regardless of their faith, after pressure from local village leaders and politicians. It is a brazen contravention of the law, and we have shown you how students are resorting to skipping schools, while teachers who have been raising their voices have been silenced by local authorities. After our report, the Bihar and Jharkhand governments have promised swift action to implement the law and punish those responsible. However, the governments are still waiting for a report. While the legal rules have not been implemented in all schools and action has not been taken against the local authorities, so why are the governments dragging their feet? Does faith and the politics surrounding it trump the law and even the education of young children? Joining me on the show, Mayank Kumar Sinha is JDU leader, Chitranjan Gagan is spokesperson of the RJD, Maulana Masoodul Hassan Kasmi is a Muslim scholar. Mayank ji, I hope you know कि बिहार में जो schools हैं उनके drop out rates बढ़ रहे हैं. I'll just give you some numbers. That in 2017-2018 it was 13.3%, 2018 and 2019 it was 12.9, and 2019 और 20 में 9.2% है. When you have a high dropout rate, multiple reasons could be the factor. But one thing that can be avoided is a rule such as this, where Fridays के दिन छुट्टियां मिल रही हैं, जबकि वो माइनॉरिटी वेलफेयर डिपार्टमेंट से भी चलता हुआ स्कूल्स नहीं है.
In the last debate, I have already told to you the investigation process is going on, and if any investigation process is going on, so government will wait and watch regarding for that process. तो आप अगर अभी जो ड्रॉप आउट का बात आप जो कर रहे हैं, ये तो आप देखिए जब कोरोना हुआ था तो स्कूल चला ही कहाँ, स्कूल तो सारे ऑनलाइन मोड में चल रहे थे. और उसके
2018-19 की बात कर रही हूँ और 2017-18 की बात कर रही हूँ. बहुत हाई है ड्रॉप आउट रेट बिहार में.
मैं कह रहा हूँ कि ठीक है जो आपने बताया आंकड़े, क्योंकि मुझे जो आज टॉपिक दिया गया था वो आपने दिया था कि जो हॉलीडेज को लेके ही टॉपिक था.
जी वही है मेरा नहीं, एकदम वही है. आप मयंक जी, दोनों चीज जुड़ा हुआ है. अगर ड्रॉप आउट रेट हाई है तो इस तरह का जो हॉलीडेज मिल रहा है वो नहीं होना चाहिए. बिहार गवर्नमेंट में ये सब कंसर्न्स ही नहीं है जैसा लगता है, जबकि स्टोरी करने के बाद आप लोग बोलते हैं रिपोर्ट आएगी. रिपोर्ट कब आएगी? स्कूल सारे खाली हो जाएंगे तब आएगी, एक्शन तब होगा.
आपने तो आज एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर से भी बात किया है और एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर का जो बाइट आया है कि हम लोग जो डीओ का है रिपोर्ट मांग रहे हैं कि कब से छुट्टियां चल रही हैं. 2012 से छुट्टियां चल रही हैं. किसके आदेश से छुट्टियां चल रही हैं? किसने ये आदेश दिया है छुट्टी करने के लिए? तो जब तक किसी व्यक्ति का नहीं आ जाता है रिपोर्ट कि किसने ऑर्डर किया, क्यों ऑर्डर किया,
इतने साल से चल रही है और ये सब सीमांचल में हो रहा है. सरकार आपकी है, जवाबदेही आपकी है. मैं जानना चाहूंगी गगन जी से, चितरंजन गगन, what has the RJD done in raising this issue or are you of the opinion because most of these areas are Muslim minority and Muslims happen to be your vote bank, you will not raise this issue at all?
नहीं, देखिए कोई आज का इशू नहीं है, और यह इशू तो डिबेट का होना ही नहीं चाहिए। डिबेट तो इस इशू पर होना चाहिए कि साहब बेहतर शिक्षा कैसे बच्चों को मिले। छुट्टी को जो इशू जिन लोगों ने बनाया है, कहीं ना कहीं उनकी मानसिकता जो है तो दूसरे तरफ जाती है। वे इसे हर चीज को धर्म से जोड़ना जो है, जो जिन लोगों का काम है ये धार्मिक ध्रुवीकरण करना और उसके आधार पर राजनीति करना, राजद वो नहीं करती है। हमारा सीधा सवाल है कि छुट्टी बहुत बड़ा इशू नहीं है, इशू होना चाहिए कि पढ़ाई बेहतर कैसे हो। आपने कहा कि ड्रॉप आउट हो रहा है, ड्रॉप आउट का रेट बढ़ा है, तो आप देखिए अभी बिहार के विद्यालयों में लगभग
नहीं, लेकिन नहीं चितरंजन जी, मेरा सवाल है कि आप ड्रॉप आउट रेट इसलिए भी है क्योंकि वहां पर जितने बच्चे हैं और उनके परिवार वाले हैं वो लोग बोलते हैं कि क्यों ऐसा है, फ्राइडे को छुट्टियां क्यों मिल रही हैं कि जबकि बाकी सारे स्कूल्स में, बाकी सारे शहर में, बाकी सारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो हैं वहां पर संडे को छुट्टियां मिल रही हैं। ऐसा क्या है उनको वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में खास तौर से?
नहीं, देखिए उस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में नहीं है, और जगह भी ऐसी है बातें हैं, कई बार वहीं पर नहीं है।
600 स्कूल ऐसे हैं।
नहीं, वह जो है आपको मैं बता रहा हूँ, स्थानीय स्तर पर विद्यालय प्रबंध समिति होती और वह निर्णय लेती। और यह जो छुट्टी है कोई आज 1 साल 2 साल से नहीं चल रहा है, यह काफी दिनों से चल रहा है। अब सवाल है कि
लेकिन ये क्यों चल रहा है डगरगन जी, यही तो सवाल है ना, ये निजाम किसने बनाया?
नहीं, सवाल यह है कि जिसने भी बनाया हो, मैं वह नहीं कहता हूँ किसने बनाया, लेकिन जिसने भी बनाया होगा वह, चूंकि वहाँ पर मेजोरिटी स्टूडेंट जो है सो माइनॉरिटी क्लास के हैं, फ्राइडे को वे नमाज पढ़ते हैं, नमाज के लिए उनको काफी समय की जरूरत होती है।
नहीं, जुमे की नमाज में मुश्किल से आधा घंटा लगता है, ये क्या पूरे दिन की छुट्टी का कहां से बात आ गया?
नहीं, जब विद्यालय में बच्चे नहीं आएंगे तो पढ़ाई किसकी होगी? तो जब अधिकांश बच्चे जब विद्यालय नहीं आएंगे फ्राइडे को, तो इसलिए हम समझते हैं कि वहाँ के जो विद्यालय प्रबंध समिति ने यह निर्णय लिया होगा, या जो किसने भी।
लेकिन आप लोगों ने अभी तक बिहार असेंबली में क्यों नहीं उठाया? ये तो आप ऑपोजिशन में बैठे हैं।
क्यों? हम सवाल है कि हम पढ़ाई के इशू पर सवाल उठाएंगे कि
तो पढ़ाई से तो जुड़ा हुआ है, ये ड्रॉप आउट से रिलेटेड है। आप आप भी रिस्पॉन्सिबल ऑपोजिशन की तरह बिहेव नहीं कर रहे, आप सिलेक्टिव इश्यूज उठाते हैं।
नहीं है, ड्रॉप आउट इसलिए हो रहा है।
मौलाना मसूदुल हसन कासमी,
नहीं है,
ये इस तरह से बच्चे कैसे पढ़ेंगे अगर ये इस तरह की जुमा की नमाज के लिए पूरे दिन की छुट्टी मांग रहे हैं?
बेटी धरना पर बैठे हैं नियुक्ति की मांग को लेकर। यहाँ पर 2 लाख से ऊपर टीचर क्या?
कासमी साहब।
हाँ मारिया जी, लेट मी स्पीक।
यस प्लीज गो अहेड स्पीक।
बात असल ये है मारिया जी, ये बिहार में ही कोई नया नहीं है। आई थिंक 15 years ago in entire Karnataka school, government run Urdu school.
But this is not run by Urdu board. This is not run by minority department. This is a normal government school.
Yes. तो मैं ये नहीं कह रहा, आप इसको आप टोके मत, टोकिए नहीं।
बोलिए।
मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ, लेकिन ये कर्नाटक में भी हुआ करता था। वहां पर क्या हुआ कि फ्राइडे में जब संडे को छुट्टी नहीं होती थी, संडे को स्कूल खुलता था, फ्राइडे को बंद होता था, तो संडे में धारावाहिक और सीरियल आते थे, तो स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द स्टूडेंट हैड डिक्रीज्ड. So even the Muslim staff of the Urdu school, government-run Urdu school, demanded for scrapping the Friday holiday, work-free holiday of Friday, and to shift the holiday on the Sunday.
मुझे ये बताइए, जुमे की नमाज आधा घंटे में नहीं होती है खत्म, पूरे दिन की छुट्टी से क्या होगा?
नहीं, तो हम ये कह रहे हैं, इसको we should not make it a communal issue.
No, it's not a communal issue. It is about it is about education. I'm worried about that. That's why I'm quoting about school dropout rate. I'm talking about
no. My previous speaker was also calling. Why are you not debating school education for the development of schooling?
Yes.
For establishing a school.
Yes, Mayank Sinha, I'm going to quote another data to make my point that this is about education and I'm worried about education in my state. उसका सवाल उठा रहे हैं। In 2015, one moment, Mayank ji, रुकिए। 2015 में the general enrollment rate in higher education in Bihar was just about 8% against the national average of about 20%, even below Jharkhand and Rajasthan. These are the data which should be a matter of concern.
मेरे पास जो मैडम डेटा है कि ऑनरेबल यूनियन मिनिस्टर अन्नपूर्णा देवी talked about the dropout rate in school in the parliament on April 2022.
Yes.
And she highlighted that the dropout rates among the school girls in the state of the Bihar in the 2017-18 13.2%. And
I have read that, sir. मैंने ऑलरेडी आपको ये सुना दिया है. अब आप मुझे ये बताइए, आपकी सरकार 17 साल से चल रही है. आपने क्या किया है?
ये डिक्लाइन हो रहा है. जो ड्रॉप आउट रेट है वो डिक्लाइन हो रहा है.
सरकार आपकी 17 साल से है. हर चीज में आप बोलते हैं कि आपसे जो पहले जो सरकार थी लालू जी की, उसमें प्रॉब्लम था. आपने क्या किया है?
अगर पटना यूनिवर्सिटी को सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी का दर्जा दिया जाता तो क्या दिक्कत था? वो हमारी कब से मांग है केंद्र सरकार से, उसको सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी का दर्जा.
भाजपा के साथ अलायंस में सरकार आप चला रहे हैं, तो आप किससे डिमांड कर रहे हैं?
मदद तो हमको यूनियन देगा तभी तो मदद हमें मिलेगा, तो हम उसको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर.
नहीं तो ये टेलीविजन स्टूडियो में आप बात करिएगा कि मदद नहीं मिल रही है, या फिर आप सॉल्व करिएगा बैठ करके उनके साथ.
हमने लगातार, माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने भी लगातार बोला है कि पटना यूनिवर्सिटी को सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी का दर्जा दिया जाए. और अभी आप इसमें जैसे ही दर्जा मिलेगा, तरह तरह की यूनिवर्सिटी बनेंगे. आप देखिए कितना बिहार विकास हुआ. CNLU आया, चाणक्य नेशनल लॉ यूनिवर्सिटी आया. आप हमारे रीजन में बहुत सारे यूनिवर्सिटी स्टैब्लिश हुए. लॉ यूनिवर्सिटी आया, IIT खुले, IIM खुले. ठीक है, जहां अगर कोई कमी है उसको हमारी सरकार दूर करने का काम करेगी. हम कोशिश करेंगे कि अच्छे अधिकारी वहां पर स्टैब्लिश किए जाएं, जो ड्रॉप रेट को और कम करें, हमारा राज्य और तरक्की करे.
17 साल तो हो गया आपकी सरकार को, और अभी तक आप प्लान ही बनाते रहिए. चलिए, शुक्रिया. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस, Mayank Kumar Sinha, Mr. Gagan and Maulana Maseedul Hasan Kasmi. We're slipping into a short break. Coming up, the Enforcement Directorate shifts the lens to Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut in a multi-crore land scam. The court has extended his custody till August 4th after including prima facie evidence. A CNN special report coming up next.